What's up, everyone? Welcome to this episode of 3 out of 10 anime fans. Recommend you watch this podcast if you ever get reincarnated into another world, aka 3 out of 10 anime. This show is all about having fun conversations to rank anime based on a standard set of criteria so they can be compared, contrasted, and recommended. We discuss a different show or movie each week. So whether you're a season weeb or new to the genre, you'll know you have a good time. Let's introduce our critics for today. First, I am Braydn, one of your classic hosts. Both Brett and Skylar couldn't make it to this episode for some reasons, but I had to get a crew to talk about this. So first up, Andrew, introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's Andrew. I am from the U.S. I've been on this podcast and stream once before for Ping Pong the Animation, and oh boy, is this one different, but excited to be back.
Yeah, Dad, so yeah, happy to have you back. And for his first time appearance, Elias, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name's Elias. I'm from the U.S., and of course, this is my first time. Newer to anime as a genre, but I really enjoy this one in particular, so I'm glad to be here.
I got a crew and listeners. I picked up Elias on this whole Chainsaw Man train when I went and visited him out in Virginia, and we crashed the first 4 episodes.
We did 4 episodes back to back, I think up to 3 in the morning, yeah.
Yep. Yes, we did. And anyway, it was after that I knew I had you on the show, so I'm glad you're here with us today. All right, well, for you listeners, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Here's the agenda for each episode. First, we got to give our first impressions of the anime in 1 sentence. Then we're going to talk about our personal enjoyment in the show, ranking our personal enjoyment of it on a scale of 1 to 10. It's our personal rubric. If you want to see what those look like for myself, mine is published as long as Brett and Skylar's on our website, 3out10anime.com or 310anime.com. After that, we'll have an intermission with some fun facts about Chainsaw Man as we warm up for our technical assessment, which kind of round us out. We'll be ranking at a 1 to 5 ranking at different aspects of the show. And then wrap it up at the end with some comparisons or recommendations of if you like Chainsaw Man, where to go next. So we each have varying opinions, tastes, and backgrounds, which will result in some interesting dialogue no matter who you are, because we are about as Joe Schmo as you can get, but we are good friends and ready to talk about Chainsaw Man. 2 warnings. First is a spoiler warning. Expect spoilers because we're going to talk about the whole show front to back. The whole kimono will be open and we're going to leave nothing out. And also a mature content warning for this particular one because all anime kind of has a bit of content warning, right? We know it's not to talk about them, but for this one especially, they're going to be very what's the word for it? Teenage adolescent talks and views about sex. There's going to be lots of gore. Just to have a heads up before we get into the episode, that's what we're delving into. Does not detract from the show being what it is at all. In fact, it's part of it. So without further ado, I'm going to call on you guys to give a 1-sentence impression of what you thought about Chainsaw Man. Elias, new guy, we'll put you up on the block.
Oh man, the stress, yeah. the anxiety, I can feel the mounting pressure. No, but if I had to go 1 sentence for Chainsaw Man as somebody who's not a normal purveyor of anime, the unexpected motivations of the protagonist combined with just the right amount of gore, just the right amount of levity, just the right amount of character development, perfect combination.
Oh, perfect combination, he says. Love it. Oh, it's good marks. Okay, Andrew, you're up.
All right, I spent a little bit of time thinking about this because, wow, putting this anime into 1 sentence, that's a hard thing to do. But I settled on it's a teen's violent journey through a life-changing event while he learns that reality doesn't always match his expectations.
Oh, nice.
Sure, I'll give you some stamps for that.
Oh, thanks.
Well written. And as for myself, this show went from being just another hype show that a bunch of anime weebs are getting hyped about to being my favorite show of 2022. Chainsaw Man, crew, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into our personal enjoyment. Our personal rubrics, again, of the main cast are found on 310anime.com. We're going to each share our rankings from 1 to 10 and kind of just share in brief what that number means for us in our rankings. So I'm going to start. For me, I'm going to give a Chainsaw Man a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10 for me is something that is like flawless execution, beautiful storytelling, exciting. I'm enlivened by it. And of course, I'm going to recommend it to whoever would possibly care to watch this show. And the only thing that keeps anything from coming a 10 is it has to like tangibly affect my life. I have to be changed by the content of the show. Only a few shows have ever done that. It doesn't detract from this show being excellent, but for me, that's what my 10s are. So that's my 9. Who wants to go next?
Oh, I've got mine ready. Depending.
Take it.
Yep. Okay. All right. So this one was a little tricky for me. Hard to think. I highly enjoyed the show. With my rubric, a 5 is kind of the midpoint of I don't care if I finish a show or not. I might somewhat enjoy it while I'm watching, but there's no real drive. Anything above a 5, I want to finish. To be a 10, similar to Braydn, it's got to have some sort of impact on my life. Now, with this one, I'm debating between an 8.5 and a 9. To hit a 9 on my scale, that's generally like binge-worthy, something that I really enjoyed watching. It really made me think, and I would rewatch it again alone. Just based off of that criteria, I rewatched the show again alone. I would not be opposed to watching it a third time. It is definitely a solid 9. Yeah, so nope, no more hesitation. It's a 9 for me. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Let's go. All right, for the last in the lineup, Elias, tell us about your score.
Yeah, so I landed on a 8.5 out of 10, and again, this is coming from a limit.
Oh,
I know. But see, you gotta weight mine a little differently. Like, I think you guys have such a broad catalog of anime to pull from, and so much experience watching so many different things. I'm personally rating this against my favorite anime. And so when I do that, I'm like, okay, what does this one have? What does this one have? What's this one not have? So I kind of do the comparison. And so for me, when I ran it 1-to-1, some of this is an unfair score. It might get better as more seasons come out because
Sure.
I imagine I will fall more and more in love with characters and motivations continue to get deeper and better and stronger. But like when you have a full show that it's in comparison to, if I just went like first season to first season, 8.5 feels about like the compelling nature of the show versus, I mean, if we're talking animation style, those things are 10s. The thing that's dragging it down is it lacks a little bit of complexity that I think would really bump it to a 10 for me.
Okay, I mean, I love all this leading you're getting to, but you missed one key point, Elias.
What's that?
What is the show that you're comparing it to?
Oh, well, I wasn't sure, like maybe that's for the end, but I'm comparing it to.
I mean, you're literally hitching your rubric on this number on this show. So what?
It's Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my personal. I've dabbled in the classics. I got DBZ. I got Naruto, but like Full Metal Alchemist, that is that's the anime experience. That's my opinion.
Gotcha. All right. I mean, we talked about this. That was literally the last episode anime we reviewed, and that's. I mean, I see where you're coming from. All right, crew. Without further ado, let's talk about the show. No more of these numbers and stuff. Let's just gush about the show for an hour.
Oh gosh, where to begin?
I could start us in one particular thing that I love.
Yeah,
it was such a refreshing. Like, I mean, I think they could have fallen into the trap of protagonist, edgy anime revenge story. But it was a breath of fresh air that the protagonist is just like, man, I have an opportunity to not be completely poor. I have the ability to make toast with everything on it that I want. And like that was as simple as it needed to be. Like you have a guy with chainsaws coming out of his arms and he just wants to make toast and touch boobs, and I love it.
Right? I know, right? Okay, literally, there's an anime that came out this last year or 2 years called Jujutsu Kaisen. Tell me if you've heard this story before. A down-as-luck high schooler finds himself needing to ingest a part of a demon to gain demonic powers. He is then roped into a organization to become trained on being able to do so, hunt more demons. And the part that's inside of him, the part that's inside of him helps him. I guess no. There's also just a line of there's a thing they're trying to find in that anime that helps them find the big thing that everybody's kind of going for. That's literally both these shows like premises in some reductive regards.
Yeah.
But toast is the difference here, crew.
Toast is the difference.
Toast is the difference. And then he gets that in episode 2 or 3 or whatever. Oh, yeah. It's like right there at the beginning. And he's like, all right, you know what? This is my beautiful, perfect life, Pachita, my homie. This toast is for you, bro. Next, boobs. And I'm like, yes, sir. Get down that list.
I love how his motivation. Okay, so, like Power's telling him all about, I had a cat and this and that and this and that. And he's like, I don't care. And then Power's like, hey, if you rescue my cat, I'll let you touch my boob. He's like, I will go to the ends of the earth to find this cat for you. It's like 180. Which, having been a teenage boy, I'm like, oh yeah, you get the promise of something like that, and it's like, I will do whatever I have to do.
Okay. Straight up, that scene where he's like flipping to do that 180 flip on doing the whole cat thing at the vending machines is probably one of the most watched scenes in like public society, because across every single dubbed iteration, notably Spanish as well as English and Japanese, Power's voice acting there is extremely sexual. She's like, oh, and he's like, yeah, no, F that demon. I want to go check out the world. He's like, oh.
I mean, I remember when we were sitting there, I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
It's like, should Braydn be here for this part?
This is for my private time. Jeez, anime. Because straight up, she doesn't say anything. After she tells her story and she says, oh, yeah, and also you can touch my boobs if that's all you really want. She doesn't say a thing after that. She just hype woman's the stink out of Denji.
Oh, yeah.
Denji.
Now, okay, but this brings up a fascinating point, because later on, Denji goes, there's the whole betrayal and all of that, and then the leech devil comes and attacks, right, later on. And then they're having, the whole dream fight, and it brought...
The dream fight!
Yeah, it brought a question to my mind in the end, where I'm like, what does make one dream inherently more value than another, than a different dream? Because Denji's like, all right, so maybe my dreams are stupid or shallow or whatever, but you know what? If, and I'm going to quote the anime here, quote the subtitles here, he's like, if I kill you, then your dream is weaker than fondling a tit, so take that. That is a great question. What makes one dream better than another dream? I don't know. Is there an objective way to rank dreams?
Well, and Andrew, I like what you said earlier when in your one line describing the show. Really, you said that one thing where it's like, unexpectedly, his goals kind of sucked. Yep. And so he gets the boob and it sucks. He hates it. He's like, that wasn't that good. I didn't like it.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's okay. That is literally the scene that Elias and I ended on when we were first watched through. His Power corners him in the bathroom and says, all right, you've earned your touches. And we're like, no way are they doing this. And then the next episode, the first 5 minutes, that's all it is.
That's all it is.
Yep. She sits him down, or she sits on the toilet and says, all right, these are my conditions. You get 3 touches. You get one for saving my life, 1 for saving Maui, and 3 for saving my life again, or something stupid
killing
like that.
Demon or something. I can't remember.
Killing the demon or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And then Stink, she... All right, she is sitting there And they do the animation. It does happen.
Oh, yep.
Boobs get touched in the show. Very much so.
Yep, they don't spare any budget on that.
Denji represents in that scene what he represents in every scene. And that is exactly how I would feel in that scenario. Like, oh,
yeah,
boobs.
His face is great. He's kind of like, oh, this is great. And then afterwards he's like, huh. Is that all it was?
Oh, and then he goes and mopes about it to Makima.
I know. That is one thing I really wanted to hammer on. I love how this anime tackles issues about sexuality. Because, of course, you have got the horny teenager, right, who is like, I just want to touch a boob. I just want to get laid. And then he touches a boob, and he goes and he talks to Makima, and he's like, it wasn't as great as I thought it was. And Makima takes that moment to,
Makima's response.
Yes. She's like, stuff around sex is better if you know the other person better. Basically, it's better if you've got a connection. And you can kind of see, like,
and then she makes a connection.
Go off with Denji. Oh yeah, she makes the connection. Yes,
I'm connected. I am very connected to that scene. Oh boy, oh Makima,
oh yeah. And then what I found fascinating is Denji loses it because after that he's like, okay, my firsts are going to be with Makima. She has told me if I kill the gun devil, I get to sleep with her. So she's going to be my first kiss. She's going to be my first sex. And then he goes in the whole Eternity Devil arc where, initially Himeno is like, hey, I'll kiss whoever kills the Eternity Devil. And Denji's kind of like, actually, I want my first kiss to be with Makima. And then she's like, with tongue. And he's like, okay, I got you. I'm going to kill this devil.
I mean, essentially, like, what's so valuable is just, like, they're really able to completely understand his motivations because it's not that deep. It's just not complicated.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, it's not even, like, you're not even dealing with this edgy mastermind. Like, there's no controversial anything. It's just they know he's just a teenage boy. And they're going to exploit his horny tendencies.
Yes.
Yep. There's no pretense about what this anime is about,
but
right?
To give Denji credit and character growth, right? Basically, Himeno forcibly takes him home. He was unconscious, right? And he's got then the opportunity to sleep with her. And he's waffling. You can see he's waffling until they find that chupa in his pocket or something. And he says no, which I'm like,
the sucker.
Wow, that is not what I expected from Denji. I didn't think he was going to say no when he's got that chance. But he does. It's kind of like he's starting to learn a little bit or grow a little bit.
Okay, all right. We need to maybe push the brake a little bit on Denji. I'm getting much too excited about this play. Oh yeah. Okay, there's a lot to talk about in this show, and Denji has a big part of it. Obviously, the way they're able to capture his teenage, just like intentionality is.
Yes.
But there's also, because that could be any slice of life anime, as this show very, very avidly pushes towards. Mm-hmm. This is like a mixture of gorgeous slice of life and shonen demon slaying action. The slice of life is all there, but then there's the demon action, and there's some really weird things going on here, right?
Yes.
Specifically, the I didn't catch this my first time through, but they established the lore that the scarier a thing is, the scarier humans believe a thing is, the more power it gives the devil thing of that, right?
Yes.
And which makes it very interesting, especially with our main boys being Chainsaw and Katana, or Chainsaw Man and Samurai Sword is the dude's evil hero name. Great.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of demons in this show, don't we? Like the Leech Devil.
We do. And now with that brought up a question for me.
The Bat Devil, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bat Devil. And maybe Elias or Braydn, you may know this. Do we know what Devil Pochita was? because I doubt that Pochita was the chainsaw devil. I mean, maybe Pochita was, but Pochita seemed pretty non-threatening and non-scary for a chainsaw devil.
Yes.
I don't have anything
Elias.
to add to that. I'm the glib anime guy that's sort of like, yeah, it's the chainsaw devil. Yep. So I'm as confused as everyone else when they're like at the end of the season. They're like, "What? Why do they want the chains? I don't understand." I'm like, "Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know. It's like there's better devils. I don't get it."
Yeah, no, it's weird. Okay, literally. So the three of us just came off of watching the last episode together. And literally one of the final scenes is apparently Denji has this dream that was how this show walked into was there's this corridor and there's this door, and apparently Pochita's behind the door or something. But Pochita's definitely talking to Denji in like his third voice line in the entire show. Saying something like, "You can't open this dream door, boyo. You can't do that." Because Pochita, I literally was with Denji for 5 years. I want to say he was like 7 years old when his dad died and left him all the debt from the gang he was a part of, and then or the Yakuza or no, whatever he was a part of. And then when Pochita makes a contract with him, is if you show me a normal life, I'll replace your heart and you can live. That's all we know of Pochita. This crazy thing that I think is what all the antagonists of the show were trying to go after, right?
Yes.
They're trying to go after Pochita, Chainsaw's heart.
Yeah. And one thing that's really interesting, I don't know if this is tangential, so correct me if it is. I feel like this show does world building fantastically. There's lots of little narrative storytelling bits. Like the last episode, we saw that Snake Lady, I can't remember her name. Oh, dang. Okay, let's see. She?
It only comes up a couple times.
Yeah, she's not super common in there. But the handcuffs that she has, we know that, they use hand signals to bring up the devils, right? So the handcuffs that they have are like all-encompassing and cover the entire hand, keep them from making symbols and summoning the devils or whatnot. I'm like, that's really cool, the way that they kind of show how devils interact with the world and teach how devils gain power and stuff like. I loved those little elements throughout the show that just added that sense of world building. I felt like there was a lot of attention to detail.
Agreed. That's kind of what kept me into it. Anyway, but kind of like we were saying, Elias, we've been talking a lot about other things. What's something you want to talk about? Let's wrap you into the show a little bit.
Yeah, sure. One of the things that I really cherish in any fantasy fiction, whatever, is the magic system. And so I feel like, unfortunately, that there might be a lot to be desired from this one. I don't particularly think that they've gone deep enough into the contract system. I don't think that like eating the blood or the flesh or whatever is that compelling. And then even the powers are sort of like there's no very easy to understand power scaling, because like you have this guy who's got a nail for a sword and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. And he stabs the guy 3 times and he's like, whoa, it's a thing where like he's cursing him and then he's supposed to die and then like he just doesn't and like it's not explained. It's not like there's no satisfying failure. Like he didn't fail in a good way and he didn't really succeed in a good way. And so like I just feel like the magic system it's not drawing me in as much as I want it to. Like I want there to be more. And of course I go back to FMA where I'm like, I mean, you just got a lot of meat there in that magic system compared to Chainsaw Man, where it's demons and devils and you have the fiends and all that kind of stuff. But so that's one of my, on the negative side, that's one of my more disappointing parts of the show, personally.
Yeah, and I want to continue on that for a second because that kind of leads into combat in general in this show is pretty shonen flashbangy kind of moves. I mean, given, however, the final fight on episode 12 with Chainsaw Man and Samurai Sword, there were some blows traded there. There was some good animation, some good back and forths before they kind of throw each other through trains again. All that bit.
Yeah.
But there was some combat here, but it wasn't like the focus notice. They didn't put a lot of time like drawing out the combat. I'm not saying that in a bad way, as if it needed to like take up screen time. I'm saying they didn't like give it space to be combat. It kind of just needed to be blow to blow thing, like the leech demon throwing the tentacles out, and he just jumps on it, cuts her down her arm or whatever, and then slices her neck.
Yeah. So like I guess another comparison, and this is gonna be like I don't know like how to get away from this, so I apologize for my comparison method of understanding anime, but like Attack on Titan is an anime that like captures combat in a like outstanding way. There might not be a better combat anime like out there. Maybe certain scenes from certain anime, but like most of Attack on Titan's combat is a delicious feast for your eyeballs. And so like that is what I think Chainsaw Man could do. They have the ability, the potential's there. He's got like all of the things to do that, but I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know, because there could be a design call to like just not to like, all right, we need more space for the slice of life stuff, and I appreciate that. We need more space for the plot thickening stuff, and so
well, like
far,
you said, it's not screen time.
The pacing is pretty great.
It's not screen time. You're right. All of these other things make Chainsaw Man what it is and why we love it. But don't you like finish the combat and you're just sort of like kind of wishing it was a little bit extra or different in some way? Like there's some piece missing. There's something there that like isn't complete.
Yeah, I agree. And if it is a design choice, it's one that's kind of leading them away from like making the demons more interesting, and more of it demons just being kind of like a setting, right?
Well, I mean, think about the main antagonist, like the Gun Devil. Right now, all he's been involved in this show is he's like pooped out some guns for Yakuza people to shoot at Chainsaw Man. Like, so if that's his ability, if the Gun Devil just poops out guns for people, like...
I mean, we did see the laser.
Which was awesome! It was incredible!
I don't know how the fight scenes with that's going to look, though.
I don't know.
Really big honest.
I really don't know.
I'm going to throw an alternate opinion. I mean, I enjoyed the combat scenes. This is making me think I need to go and watch Attack on Titan, though, because, wow, that it sounds like it's got some impressive stuff going on.
So, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Fire Force, Full Metal Alchemist are probably the 4 best combat anime I've seen.
It'll give me something to compare it with. One note I did want to call out with the combat. I don't know if you guys got this vibe, but when I would watch Denji fight, specifically Chainsaw Man, like it was a wild kind of random, just flail around, brute power, hack the enemy to pieces kind of attack. When you watch Aki fight, it's a lot more disciplined, a lot more controlled. You don't see much of it, so I mean, I don't know how that's going to hold out later in the anime. But what I'm getting at with that is it seems like people had their unique styles of fighting, right? And they kind of corresponded with their personalities a little bit.
I mean, style is a very generous way to describe how Denji fights.
That's true. Yeah.
There's one because there is an element of like horror in this show, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And one of the scenes that comes to mind is the fight with the leech demon, actually, because after a while she beats one of his eyeballs almost half out of his head.
Yes.
And he just kind of like snaps. He like his mental state does not go good places, and he just like hacks at the leech demon until she's dead.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's
terrifying.
definitely some horror, which I kind of appreciate that it doesn't go more horror.
Yeah, no, it's so delicious a mix on top of the rest of this anime.
Like even just what is it, Jimenez, the hand demon, right?
Oh yes, the ghost.
Keep that away from me. No, thank you. Yes. I do not need to see that thing anymore.
We've had enough of you. You can sit back down. We're fine. Or again with Jimena, actually, when she there's 2 scenes in when she dies. Or is that her? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Right?
eye patch.
Yes.
Yeah, eye patch. Yeah. When she, there's 2 parts with her, and first is when she has her ghost devil like get behind and start tearing apart samurai sword, and then the antagonist girl, I can't think of her name at the moment, but when she summons her demon, the snake, and it bites, and then she says, dismissed, and it just flashes out of the scene, and the head of the ghost demon or whatever just floats in the air for a second. Oh, that was so startling, disturbingly fast for that thing to disappear.
Yeah.
That's not okay. That's not okay.
Yeah, it is pretty disturbing.
Yeah. Now, I this is going back a little bit. I did want to agree with you. I feel like the magic system in this one is kind of standard from what I've seen. Nothing super surprising. Nothing super off the wall. No idea how the power scaling goes with the curse demon. That's better saved for the fun fact portion. That nail ties a little bit into some Japanese culture things.
When it's so cool aesthetically. I mean,
oh yeah,
that was when he pulled that out. I was like, oh, it's all changed. You're cool now. That was cool.
Yeah. Now,
which I wish, I wish they could have landed a little bit better. Oh, poor Aki.
Yeah, really though, poor Aki. Honestly,
he gets freaking tossed around this show. He gets 2 stupid roommates, the worst 2 people to ever have as roommates. He gets just beat the crap between the ghost devil and the samurai sword guy, and sticking his girl, sticking Himuro, she disappears. Because she gave all of herself to the ghost devil to try and stop this whole thing. And man, Aki, that part.
I don't think he recognizes that. I got the vibe he kind of likes Himeno, but he doesn't recognize it until she's gone. And then he's kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
Because Himeno had this way of becoming friends with people. It was a weird way. But it got really, really intimate with both Denji and Aki. She forced all right, we're working together. You got to smoke, Aki. You got to smoke, bro. And that's what they left off on. It's like Aki, don't freak out. You're facing the ghost demon, but you know how to fight this thing. Get easy revenge. Yes. Or get assy revenge.
Yeah,
at the end, when Secret Denji goes nuts on the samurai sword's balls. Oh, what a killing blow to a mortal thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Andrew, you were saying about the magic system. I feel like I cut you off. Sorry.
Oh, no, you didn't. I just was going to agree with you guys. The contracts are intriguing, and we see sometimes there's a different cost, like with the future demon. Somebody paid half of their life for a contract with the future demon, and somebody paid with their sense of sight, smell, and was it hearing? I can't remember.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like it could have been there's no consequence, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's my main beef is that, okay, Himeno has an eye patch. Okay. All right, Aki's losing years on his life. Okay. That we're moving on from the consequence each time. It doesn't matter. But then why bother having it?
It's just sounding kind of abstract. I mean, they do really want to lean into the fact the public safety crew, the organization that Denji finds himself a part of, they're not good guys. They are the necessary evil that the Yakuza thought they were.
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally agree.
They had to go to these low, grungy, not palpable measures to do their thing. And they kind of just wave it off in abstract when it comes to contracts with the devils.
I was confused, too, about how they're viewed. Is it kind of viewed as a bottom rung profession? This is what you do if you don't have any alternatives? Or is it higher on the totem pole? It seemed like they took care of them.
It did seem a little back and forth, yeah.
Yeah. It's also they don't really interact with the outside world too much.
Yeah.
The scenes we see are just the boys doing the boy things or power.
Well, and whenever we see someone interacting with the outside world, it's Makima, and she's terrifying them.
Yes.
Or literally killing them to burst people hundreds of miles away.
Crap. One of the most terrifying things that Makima said this entire show was there's first My dogs either need to say yes or woof.
Yeah, right. Well, was that terrifying? Are we landing on terrifying for that, or was that more exciting?
I was being kidding. The actual most terrifying thing she said was, I was able to avoid being shot.
Oh.
Makima, you absolutely were not able to avoid being shot. I was crying on behalf of Denji for you. I was upset by your death, ma'am. You were not avoiding
she
nothing.
played you.
Oh, she played me, bro. She's in my brain, bro.
Well, and that episode... Oh gosh, because we see the conversations that come out of that, like when the sensei, guy's name, I've got it in my notes somewhere, but when the sensei, Kishibe, that's the guy, he's having his one-on-one with Makima, that flashback, right? And he's like, so how much of that did you know was going to happen?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's telling.
He tells her, he like asks her, are you on humanity's side? And she gives her answer, and his only response is, you're lying.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Because either
chills.
she's lying or she's not going to tell him because he's not part of public safety anymore.
Yeah.
Like, those are the answers she gives. She's nasty, bro. She's at the one time everything Denji needs, and on the other hand, the most terrifying thing in this entire show, more terrifying than Gun Devil or Samurai Sword or Denji or Power.
And because we don't know her
yeah.
motivations, and that's like what we know her motivations are. We obviously can tell that aren't true. Like, she's clearly, there's something missing because, man, she is like a very interesting force of nature when it comes to her abilities.
Yeah. Episodes 8 and episodes 9. I feel like those were phenomenal because episode 8 ends and I am like, what is going on? Everybody died. It felt like a Steins Gate moment, right? Like when you get to the end of episode 12 and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was
everything
a cliffhanger.
has changed. But then we get to episode 9 and I loved how the bad guys are terrified when they see people start exploding. There's none of that, oh, I know what's going on. Oh, we planned for that. It's like, oh, this is going really bad, really fast. We got to get out of here.
You told me you killed her. You told me you killed her.
Yeah, they were the whole plan rested on she did not survive that assassination.
Yeah.
Because she does exhibit two different powers. She does whatever she does to the bad guys and just popping them.
Yep.
And then she has another one where she has to get the prisoners and then smushes. I swear she did it two different ways, but I can't. I'm thinking about it now. No, she smushes. She has the prisoners say the name of the person she wants to smush, and then she smushes them.
Yes.
And I swear she did something else.
I think that's her.
I can't think of it right now.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, no, you first, Elias.
Well, I was going to say her one power is clearly the sacrificing a life to smush somebody. And then the only other thing that is plainly obvious is that she can survive being shot in the head.
Well,
maybe more. She has like a doppelganger thing, and she also definitely has future sight.
Yeah, more though. One more power. I don't know exactly what causes this, but when it shows the train car with the dead attackers, each of them has a hole like right through their chest. I'm assuming Makima did that, but I don't know how.
That's true. That's true.
That's a good point.
We don't know.
Oh, she's scary, bro.
Yeah, she's trouble. She's trouble.
Also, the bag full of eyeballs.
What the hell is that about?
Oh, we have somebody who can put these back.
Yeah.
But just so you know what we're about.
Dude.
Here's all your loved ones' eyeballs.
It's worse that she said we have someone that can put them back. I'm like, just let him be out. What is happening?
Oh, and that she is just so calm.
Imagine if they put the eyeballs back in the wrong person.
Oh, dude.
So they put the hazel one over there
Horrifying.
and the green one over there.
It really is the worst.
And that she is so calm and chipper while she says that. It's just like, oh, here you go. So you know I'm serious. And we've got somebody who can put him back, so no worries. Another power that potentially she has. That scene. One of the guys is going to like stop her, right?
Oh yeah.
His nose starts bleeding, and then he drops down dead. I'm like,
yeah, okay, that one. Yes, that's the pop.
But
yes,
isn't that the same as the squish? Because the squish happens after the nosebleed.
But the squish, like she had to have a prisoner say a name and then she could do the squish.
Right. So maybe he just passed out.
The pop.
he didn't explode.
Lower level exercise of that power?
Both existences had people exploding.
Oh,
Okay.
Like the
yeah,
squish,
I don't know.
they
There's
went
more
down to a
nuance.
pancake size.
Apparently,
and
she's
blood
the only
everywhere.
one with some interesting power dynamic here.
Yes, you too much.
I see here that something we haven't talked about yet was the art design direction. So, like this show, one of the few animes that I think the intro is outstanding. I think all of the outros are outstanding, and the art as far as visual and like soundtrack, all of them are incredible. It really does not. I haven't seen an episode yet where I was like, that kind of fell short.
Well,
all of them are outstanding.
Elias, let's save that for our technical discussion because that is exactly what else we need to rest on. There's some definitely we enjoy that here, and we will get into that later.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But for personal enjoyment and not talking about so much the more granular aspects of the show, anything else we want to talk about here? I have a couple last notes. I just want to kind of wrap up.
I've got a lot that I want to say, but it fits best in the technical portion because it has to do with characters and story and all that.
Sure. I mean, I want to bring up Power for a moment. Sure. We kind of talked about her voice actor being phenomenal, but man, what a character!
And Power and Denji together.
Oh, yes, they're unstoppable.
I love
So I'm going to be the
With-
voice of dissension here. I think Power on her own is sort of like a cringe character. Their relationship is like cute and enjoyable, but I don't feel like Power really hasn't yet added anything to the show.
So, because Power does, besides her relationship with Denji, Power has done like two independent things. Or is it things? Anyway, she first like has a relationship with a cat, right? She's a fiend that found a shred of humanity within her and kept this cat, Meowie the Meower, stupid cat. And then she also reveals an interesting thing that might be, I think it's across all devils, is she speaks in like the thee and thou sense. She notably talks differently than like normal, even Japanese or normal English. She talks in the royal, the ancient sense, which could give us a little interesting little nugget about the history of demons, like how long these things kind of exist. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I could kind of give you. She's kind of just chaotic and rude and loud. Is that kind of?
I feel like she's meant to be a foil for Denji, and like, I don't think that she does that. I could be reading the character wrong, but just like she's just like a different Denji, and I'm like, does the show really need another Denji?
Yeah, it's very teenage to kind of like find somebody slightly similar than you, and when they both go like with their demonic intentions, they kind of feel similar. I think more of a foil for him is like the foil, which is the samurai sword, right?
Aki. No, samurai sword. Yes.
Yeah, they're the two, not demons, not humans, not fiends. They're both immortals.
Yeah, but we haven't been given any
show.
Characterization from Samurai Sword yet.
That's true.
So like a foil is like, I'm thinking character arc, the growth, somebody that like shows him where he's wrong, where he's right, gives him like definition, and like Samurai Sword might become that. Again, this is why I have an 8.5.
He might become that. I think you're right. He might become that because he currently doesn't be a lot.
And all we know is that he got kicked in the nuts a bunch.
Yes, he did. I mean, he did also. His motivation was revenge.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
You want to see Denji spit all over that dream? Because both Leech Demon and Aki and sticking what's his butt, I just said him, Samurai Sword, all of them have the same vision of revenge.
Yep, that's true.
And Denji's kicked the nuts of all three of them. So
it is so refreshing. I know we've touched on this, but I'm going to touch on it again because I love it. It is so refreshing to have a protagonist who has a proper grimdark backstory, but his whole motivation is, I'm living the good life now, and I want to keep living the good life. That's it. That's
and that
all
means
I
super
want.
toast.
Super toast.
I can respect it. It's like
dream.
Honestly, the anime food super toast, like the way they drew it, it looked 10 out of 10. That was some good looking toast.
We should have made that on our trip.
We should have done it.
Has the super toast. I mean, because all it does come back to that contract you made with Pochita. Pochita says, I want to see what your vision of a normal life looks like.
Oh, he is doing it. He is
He's
living up to that.
He's living it. Denji, what a hero. What a sticking inspiration. I love that guy. What a sticking guy. Such adolescent and wild. I thought I had more quotes in my little notes list here than this.
Something else I was bummed about, or not bummed about. Like I was initially bummed because they were going to do it, and then they like totally didn't make it a big thing. Was the montage, the training, like sensei training battleground thing? Basically, like all of the scenes were just okay. Now you're done for the day, and they're just like dead, like But we didn't have like 3 episodes of like jumping through trees and like getting ambushed by a sensei teacher. You know, Kakashi is like better than you could ever be.
Yeah. And you know what's notably weird about that? I don't think they like used that.
Not at all. It's almost like a waste of time.
Yeah. It's almost like a waste of. I mean, I hope that the Power and Denji's super smart plots continue to go forward.
Well, because isn't it the lesson that they learned is like that they have to outsmart their opponents because they're actually bad at what they do?
Oh, that's a good point, because Denji does that. He said, I knew you were going for my head, so I kicked you up the middle with my foot.
There you go. The payoff. It's there.
Yeah. There it is.
Nice.
All right. Okay, never mind. There is something there. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to finish this section with, unless anybody's anything else.
I'm good.
Toss it in. Yeah. Hot note something. The thing I want to leave off on is just a single quote, and I want you guys to just remember the scene. This is from Denji. And I quote, "A testicle devil went apeshit on his nuts, ma'am."
Nice. How powerful do you think the testicle devil would be?
Oh, like immortal, right? You can't even.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. Especially after Denji's been through this. Like, he's gonna be the new big evil after the Gun Devil, because Denji's gonna gone through and just like instilled the fear of their own nuts onto every male opponent he finds.
Nice.
All right, let's wrap that up, crew. That is our score. I was going through it over one more time. That's myself with a 9, Andrew with a 9, and Elias with an 8.5 for Chainsaw Man. Up next, we have some fun facts, and we're not going to hand this over to a single person this time because I have a couple, but I want to actually throw it over to Andrew really quick because he had one that he brought up right before we started.
Yeah, just one. Episode 9. They're up in the shrine. They've got the convicts. They have all of the convicts kneeling, dressed in white kimonos or white robes. Now, okay, I'm not an expert of Japanese culture, but I do believe white is the color of death in Japan, and a white robe was traditionally what would be worn before committing seppuku. So I liked that little attention to detail, and I felt like there was a lot of that in the show.
Agreed. Another one that we had found was that Pochita is modeled after, what do you say, Makita Tools, like an actual company?
Yeah, Makita Chainsaw, Makita Portable Chainsaw.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a Makita chainsaw and a pug, apparently.
There you go. Inspiration.
There he is.
Digging even a little deeper into that one, Pochi is a very common dog name in Japan. And the ta at the end of Makita, there you go, Pochita.
Hey, that's all it took. And an anime was born.
That's what it is. That's a Pokemon was born, just like that.
Pokemon was born.
Another one we had found is that Chainsaw Man apparently makes a guest appearance in My Hero Academia. Now, so far it's in the manga. I don't know if the show actually has that. But episode 259 of the manga has Chainsaw Man like front and center. He's just right there, right in one of the scenes. And I'll hopefully show that here in the video recording if you want to watch this on YouTube. Finally, we can't not stop talking about this intro. There's a confirmed 15 movie and media references in the intro sequence of the Chainsaw Man.
It's 15.
15. Let me go through them. Inferno of the Divine Comedy.
Oh, wow.
There's the famous picture they reference. The movie Reservoir Dogs. The movie The Chainsaw Massacre. Pulp Fiction. Sadako and Kayako. No Country of Old Men. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Don't Look Up. Jacob's Ladder. Constantine. There's a scene they pulled from the movie theater theme is pulled from an episode of Chainsaw Man that I don't know if they're going to show it on screen or not. Chapter 39. But getting back into it, The Big Lebowski, Neon Genesis Evangelion, another anime, Fight Club, and Sayonara Eri, which is a 2022 anime that came out, or manga that came out. And I don't know if you know, Crow, a lot of those are American films, and half of them have to, or some, like at least one of them have to deal with chainsaws.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Of course, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is referenced in this show.
Of
course
course.
it is.
You gotta.
So yeah, I was going to leave off on like, while there is a lot of character spoiler and even event spoiler in the intro, that was a phenomenal piece of art. The intro and the song, for sure.
Real headbanging song.
Yeah.
Just one more quick fun fact, Braydon, because you brought this up to me and I didn't notice it until you brought it up. And we'll definitely dive more into this in the technical. But every episode has a unique ending. The song is unique and the animation is unique. I have never seen that in an anime before.
It's true. Big kudos and respects, especially like the last one, and then there was one early on with Power. There's probably a couple early with Power that were very exciting. Two of my favorites. I just realized I might have made an oops, Crew, as we get into technical. Do you guys have a copy of the technical rubric? Someplace? I don't think I got one to you.
I can pull one out on 3 out of 10anime.com.
Correct. Go to 310anime.com really quick, Crew. Our rubrics and technical, and we'll need this to help you guys reference the show from going here forward.
There we go. Got it up.
Oh, perfect. All right, I gotta get my special one up.
So the technical rubric.
Technical rubric. That's what we're going in for. Yeah, the last part of our show. What a wild episode this has already been. And we have to technically rate this thing. I'm excited. It's just wild to me. All right. Anime list and technical recording. Okay. All right. So moving on to technical. Again, like we've already just established, you can find the rubric at 310anime.com. We're going to cover and we're going to discuss and score 4 major topics. Art being first, then story, characters, and delivery. Each score is going to get a 1 out of 5 from us, with 3, the average score being meh, of something at an anime quality you expect from any anime. And those together are going to kind of pile and do some math to get them at a score out of 1 to 10 for the overall technical score rating. And after that, we'll get into recommendations and whatnot. So, Elias.
Yes, sir.
Would you mind reading us the top line? We want to hear what a terrible and an excellent scoring for art would be.
So you want me to read just 1 and 5 or all the way through?
1 and 5.
Oh, sure.
1 and 5.
So 1 in art would be frequently ugly, messy, disjointed, bland, boring or repetitive, and poorly done. And a 5, or exceptional, is always beautiful, cohesive, fitting, engaging, notable, ambitious, and expertly performed. And if you're looking at the rubric, the main word here is always.
Yes, correct. Correct. All right, Crew. Elias, you were so excited to bring it up.
Yeah.
I
can lead us off with the art. So something that I really have a huge appreciation for is OSTs, or original soundtracks. I think that this one does a exceptional job incorporating what is kind of like funky pop rock, sort of. Like it's got some like crazy elements to it. It matches the chaotic nature of the visuals that you're seeing. It really does an excellent job tying it all together. But while you're watching, you have the color, like maybe this is too technical, I'm not sure, but the color saturation is like pretty well done. You never feel like you're overwhelmed by like one thing that's just super bright or there's too much dull colors. Like all the demons are different sort of textures and each scene transitions really beautifully. I don't feel like any of the cuts are super like heavy and disjointed, and when they are, it's super purposeful. It feels like it's an intentional cut that like kind of whiplashes you. So like for me, I actually think that as far as like the animes I've seen, again, I'm a comparative guy. Full Metal Alchemist, Attack on Titan, those for me would be a 5 here, and I think Chainsaw Man deserves a 5 in the art department.
Oh, you just talked about the intro so far. Now, there's some more notes to talk about here, but I like that lead in, Elias. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, I was going to throw in with there 2 notes. One about music, one about the art style. Loved the art style.
Let's do it, one at a time.
Yeah, so, art style, we'll start with art style first. Love the art style. There's one specific scene that I'm remembering that pulled me out and I found jarring because of how good I found the art style usually. And that is when Himeno's sister comes and visits Aki in the hospital and gives him the letter, where they have him look up at her entering the hospital. I felt like it went from its usual highly detailed art style to one that was not detailed. It was jarring enough that I was like, wow, generally I didn't notice stuff like that in the anime. Nothing else is coming to mind except for that one scene, and maybe that speaks to the level of art in the anime and how good I perceived it to be, that one time that it didn't happen, I was like, oh, that's jarring.
Now, I don't quite remember the scene, so are you saying it in a way that's like it wasn't as high quality, or are you saying they made a change as in like we're now seeing through Aki's muted perspective because he just went through this distraught thing, and here is something that's distraught to him?
I felt like it wasn't as high quality, just because it only happened once, and I didn't notice it any other time after that.
Sure. Kind of on the line of that, there was a couple times when the CGI was a bite jarring. Now, I have to also say, I want to say that just because I let off your negative thing, but the CGI in this one's really good.
Yeah, I was
like for CGI in anime, this is really, really good.
Really
the second
polished.
best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think Beastars personally did it better. Yet they didn't. I also don't know if Beastars needed to do as wild stuff as Chainsaw Man attempted for. So
yeah,
CGI is still not perfect, but it's so exciting to see where the show really embraced it.
Oh yeah. Now with the music, the second point, if that's something we want to talk about right now.
Yeah, go for it.
I generally don't notice music in anime unless it's really bad or really good. There was a certain flashback song in this one that I would notice when it came up, and notice in a positive way, and that I felt like it added power to that flashback, where I'm like, now I am feeling what the character must be feeling in this moment. Loved it. So just to echo what you said, Elias, I feel like the OST for this one in general, I think they did a good job with the music, a good enough job that I noticed it and I actively enjoyed it, as opposed to just kind of absorbing it and it goes in one ear and out the other.
Agreed. And
I have 2 notes I want to leap off of that with. First, like, not only the music is like, it puts you in the mood, but when, unlike every other anime in existence, when they used a flashback scene, it was from a different camera perspective with uniquely animated scenes. You know what I mean? They didn't reuse the scene again, like Naruto
or Noragami's coming to mind.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like essentially they did the scene again, but like the work is they had to reanimate it, but like in a movie setting, it's like they filmed it from a different angle. But it's just like that is just such a rare thing to see.
The one I'm going to give there is ambitious. Like, that's nuts. Because, like, then, again, on the same note, we've already kind of said this, there's a unique outro for every episode. Uniquely animated and a unique song. That's insane.
Yes.
Nobody does that. There is a full album of just music for this show that is just intro and outro songs in one season.
Well, and it has a right to be there. It's not even just like because somebody put it up there. It's because it's actually like all different and fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we've kind of gone over a lot of things, and there are some mild negative notes. Does anybody want to pull anything forward here on that spot?
I'm not in the negative camp, so this is all Andrew.
Art.
Yeah, I mean, it was one scene is all that is coming to mind, which for me, I guess, is a testament.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, just for me, I'm just going to say, only actively recalling one scene is kind of like, the rest of it must have been really good if all I can think of is one example.
I mean, maybe it's because I've been doing this review for a minute. There's a bunch of moments, and I want to say moments, not scenes, moments where the CGI animation is like, that's kind of weird and ugly and not altogether beautiful. Like, there's so many exciting moments. But I want to propose that, I need to propose it to myself, obviously, that the ambition of the show just severely outclasses that negative. And so, yeah, I want to propose a 5 out of 5 for this anime.
I would be okay with a 5 looking downwards, but definitely up there.
Yeah, because we don't give quarter counts, only by the half measure. Elias, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty like square 5 as the art design is just top notch.
Yeah. Let's lock that in. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to shout out here, but I mean, I just flabbergasted by seeing another like high quality CGI anime. And also the soundtrack, the outro scenes. Those animations are nuts. Somebody wildly creative is coming up with those scenes to do those outros with. Because they are crazy artistic.
You're bringing up the CGI, and I just think it's important to just like at least note that every time CGI is used in anime, I think it's bad. I don't have any personal experience, so anecdotally, of CGI being used effectively in anime, and Chainsaw Man not only uses it, but tends to make it on the more beautiful side. And so the icky CGI moments, I'm almost sort of like, I mean, they deserve to have like an icky CGI moment because they just had an entire CGI scene that was 10 out of 10.
Yep, agreed. And actually, just looking at the rubric, our 3 score is meh, on par you expect from a decent show. And like decent CGI, quote unquote, I almost say probably Ruby, maybe.
Ruby is decent CGI, and it's straight up poop in the art department.
It's nasty. I hate looking at that garbage. So compared to that, yes, this is always like, even the small moments are notes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Which, then some line we have to. Okay, so we're going to lock in a 5 there. Let's move on to story. Story is talking about the plot devices, the tone and mood, the continuity and continuity errors, if they apply, world building, pacing, rules and systems, and tropes. Elias, once again, what's a 1 and what's a 5?
Sure. For story, a 1, frequently nonsensical, inconsistent, boring, confusing, ambiguous, unoriginal, and disappointing. 5, exceptional, is always consistent, well-paced, comprehensible, consummate, on point as far as mood and tone, and unique.
Oh, goodness. Oh, buddy. This one's a little hard.
Yeah, I do want to...
I want to shout out first before you get in, Andrew, that this show, as we've noted a couple times, likes to mix in some very explicitly slice of life moments with some very explicitly shonen moments, right? Shonen being like, your Full Metal Alchemist and Naruto, and it's like high action scenes with big stakes and all that good like. So I think they do the tempo switch pretty good I don't know.
If I could
what are
ask
you guys'
for
thoughts on like pacing and stuff? Yeah.
Can I ask for like you're a main, this is your podcast, right? So like,
sure.
What is, as far as grading goes, if the show is almost designed around the idea? Because when I read two, sometimes nonsensical, inconsistent, boring, confusing, ambiguous, unoriginal, and disappointing, I'm like, the first like 2 words, sometimes nonsensical, I feel like that's kind of a selling point of the show. So like, if it relies on that, does it count negatively?
But you have to contrast that with, on the good side, there is often consistent, right?
Mm-hmm. Consistent in its nonsensicalness?
Yes. In like the first episode, we see Denji needing to, he's like, oh man, I just sold my eye and my kidney and my left nut and it only made this much money and I have only so much more debt to get into, and now there's zombie Damon, and now I'm dying. I'm in a trash can. My life is poop.
Yeah, those are things that happen.
It's Robbie, and that's just insane. Like that doesn't make any sense anyway for like a plot start. But if we're looking at how the show goes, like that's not off par for our boy. So I don't know if that helps you at all.
Potentially, Elias. For Denji, I would almost argue. This is going into a couple areas. You mentioned flashbacks, Braydn.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this show did flashbacks really well in general. Often when flashbacks happen in anime, my general assumption is, oh great, here's a flashback, a bunch of story that I don't need to know. But with this one, just the mood and the tone of and the pacing of the flashbacks, I felt like added a depth to each character. So we see a flashback,
and I want to add in, they felt necessary.
Yes,
like they pulled in a great scene to start off every episode off their cliffhangers from before, from a unique view.
Yes, yes, exactly. And so when we see Denji's life as a flashback, I'm kind of like, this is a kid who his mom's dead. His dad was neck deep in debt to the Yakuza, and so of course the boss tells him straight up, look, bring me this much money by tomorrow or we're going to cut you up and sell you for parts. And then you get the whole, how he meets Pochita and they form their pact and whatnot. It was kind of like, yeah, his life has sucked, but there's that precedent early on established that you can't make the payments, that's it for you. And so Denji has basically been used from, I don't know how young he is at the beginning in that flashback, but he has been used from that point onwards by this mob boss as kind of his do whatever I want you to do guy, and treated like a dog, basically. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, well, I would say, yeah, a terrible life. I'm like, it kind of makes sense, though, from what's portrayed. I think I can understand a bit why it happened or why Denji was where he was.
Mm-hmm. And I want to shout a second and say that I think the pacing of the show was probably qualified as unique. Like the which scenes we dwelt on, why things were important. I mean, the mashup was just exciting. Like when they needed to jump between scene to scene. I want to go on that more, but first, I also want to make sure, Elias, we talked about the sometimes nonsensical.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So I'm leaning towards. So just transparency, I'm just leaning towards a 4. But being as this is my first time doing this in particular, on a particularly strange anime, I think, I just feel a little bit like I could see myself changing my mind later on if depending on how the show ends up continuing, or even if I put like maybe some more intentional thought, just because I do like that in the 4 category while I read it. I do think that it's comprehensible. I think that there's some really consistent mood and tone. I think like those things are all there, but then sometimes like I don't get it as much. Like some of the things I don't think are as great. And I don't think the slice of life is the problem.
Magic system.
Like slice of life is good. I think those add value to the show, but I think like even the whole arc with Meowie
while the motivation is there is good, I think that whole arc is kind of like off pace. And it's supposed to build character, but it just feels sort of like they added like a side quest, which it is. But I didn't think that it needed a side quest, really. So I don't know. I'm kind of like hovering 4, hovering 3.
There's a weird note there, too. Because, like, having the leech demon show up, this seems so random.
Oh, it's so random.
Like,
Yeah.
so
It's like,
random.
we need to add an additional conflict?
Leech demon with, like, a big old pink body and boob tits flying everywhere, whatever's going on there.
Uh-huh.
What? We just finished. I mean, that's where we do get to see the dream fight.
Yeah.
And the and Denji fighting with one of his eyeballs half out of his socket, but it doesn't mean
What
that it
almost
feel
felt
weird.
like the fight that should have been there was the leech demon fight, and actually, the bat demon and the whole Meowie, like the boob thing is funny, and like that's an enjoyable motivation for Denji.
Mm-hmm.
But like that, I don't feel like the bat demon added anything. Certainly, getting Meowie and like that whole arc didn't improve Denji at all. Like there was no character development, so like that just feels like a really tonally, like it just threw everything off for like 2 episodes.
I have an argument here though. It's like the number of things Denji did to get the 3 squeezes, right? Had to do with the bat demon and the leech demon and rescuing Meowie, right?
I mean, I just think the leech demon could have
really jarring.
the leech demon could have been
Right?
the build up for those episodes. Like cut the bat demon out. Leech demon has the cat. Leech demon is the like main antagonist of that arc. Like the bat demon and rescuing the cat separately from the leech demon attack just seemed really like jarring. And I think like you're right. When the leech demon shows up, you're kind of like, what? Like what? We just finished. What, like, where is this coming from?
God, I don't know. I'm having a hard time here, Elias, because I agree with you. And also, like, now thinking about it, there's a lot of important things they establish in this scene.
Yeah.
One being that if Denji doesn't have a lot of blood, he can only get 1 chainsaw out, right? He has a half form. 2, that demons have relationships, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the leech demon and the bat demon are like lovers or something. And then also 3, like kind of more digging into like the demon's motivations in general. The bat demon's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go eat a pregnant lady for appetizers, and then I'm gonna go find a young attractive lady and a fat guy for the main course, and that's gonna be my dinner for tonight. Like that kind of conversation really kind of like grows into the demons, but it doesn't. I don't know what it is about this weird leech thing that just felt like it didn't work right. Like something's wrong there.
Yeah, I agree.
don't know what it is.
I don't know. It's why the show doesn't get a 5 for me for sure, but I'm hovering between 3 and 4. So, and this is my own like, probably because of my inadequacy, you know, like with anime and just not being my,
Elias, stop that. You're doing great.
Yeah. I mean, hey, when I think of my rubric, I'm like, what would I rate as a 5 for story? Steins Gate. Beautiful. Wonderfully done. Yeah, definitely up there. That's a 5. There was another one that was coming to mind, but I'm forgetting it.
Sure.
I don't necessarily think Chainsaw Man, gets up to that level of storytelling. I think it does a good job.
Before we get into comparisons, let's just talk about the magic system and just note that this is where that discussion goes.
Yeah.
Oh, well
Like,
then.
it's weird and abstract and doesn't quite make sense and led to weird fight scenes.
Yeah, well then let me just
part
automatically
of this.
downgrade mine a little bit.
Well, what I'm proposing, Elias, is that part of what you're feeling is a large part due to the magic system and how that affected the story.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. Yeah, we talked about it already. I don't need to get deeper into it so much, but like I think about like my personal enjoyment of magic systems is clearly defined. Some of my favorite books and stories have very clearly defined rules, but then it's also like even something as infamous or as famous as Lord of the Rings. The magic system isn't defined at all in Lord of the Rings. You really don't know what anyone's capable of at any time. Like anything could happen, and you kind of have to accept that. And so they kind of do it in the worst way, where it's not defined, but also the rules that they give you aren't compelling. And so, like, if you're gonna pick rules like contracts or eating flesh or whatever, I guess, like, give us something bigger to chew on than just the surface level. And I guess that's where it's left me with season 1. Is it feels like a surface level magic system. It's not as integral to the plot as it could be, and I guess for me that's really important.
Now, I want to counter you on one of those points. Kind of, because again, I think you're in the large right about this, but the eating mechanic, right? That does seem important, although it's kind of concerning the implications of it. The fact that it established that Denji is one of these immortal beings, as I'm calling them, where they can't really be defeated, they just need to get some rejuvenation and they're fine, means that, it establishes a rule in the world that is consistent with Samurai Sword, who also does the exact same thing. But what does that mean for the story as a whole if you have immortal main characters? You know what I mean? So far, they've handled it really well.
That's true.
Denji's got the crap beat out of him, like by the trainer and by the leech demon, and he's had half swords, and if he doesn't have blood, it takes a long time for him to regenerate. So, like, that all makes interesting scenarios. I'm a bit concerned about the long term of this mechanic, though.
Well, you know where they can pull from for inspiration? The good old Saitama, One Punch Man.
Yeah.
If there's ever a show that needed an excellent story to make up for the fact that its character can literally kill anything instantly, it's One Punch Man. So, like, it can be done. It's possible.
There's a discussion for that time, but I think you're completely wrong, because Saitama carries the stink out of that show. When they stop putting the camera on him, the comedy just, like, tanks.
No, of course you're right. No, he's
about
absolutely the powerhouse, but the show isn't carried by a magic system, or, like, it isn't carried by how strong the character is. Absolutely the reason you're there is because of the story.
Now, a couple of things about the magic system that this conversation has got me thinking about. I am intrigued by the contract system. I would like more delving into that, but when I start thinking about it, we see in the show that contracts can be renegotiated and devils can refuse in certain circumstances to honor their contracts. For example, was it Himeno? Yes, Himeno. The one who made the contract with the ghost demon. She asks the ghost demon to come up and fight against Samurai Sword guy and Sawatari. I think that's a snake girl. And the ghost devil initially is like, no, that girl is terrifying. And so then Himeno's like, okay, you can have all of me if you come and do this fight. And with that, the ghost devil's like, okay, yeah, fine. I'll come and do that.
Yeah, or even Aki loses the wolf demon.
Yes, yeah. Which I was wondering, is the fox demon, like, is it dead? Or is it just like, hey, nope, you didn't honor me, I'm not going to honor you anymore. Like,
or is it like, I don't like your business you're dealing in. I'm out. Like, I don't care.
Exactly.
You can have whatever I'm taking. I don't want it.
Exactly.
I don't want it.
So initially I was thinking, yeah, we don't see any consequences from these contracts. But then I'm like, no, Himeno literally dies because of the contract that she makes. So there's at least one example.
Sure.
We do see Snake Girl's fingernails vanishing every time she summons a snake. So
I actually missed that.
Which seems like the lowest sacrifice you could ever imagine.
It's pretty minor.
Well, okay, here, think about it. Worst case,
something?
What if you lose your fingernail and it's like raw and bloody for the rest of your life? Lose your fingernail.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, that's not great.
I mean, it's not like you know.
For the power she got, that does not equal. Like, that is not equal.
Hey, maybe she's maybe her power is haggling. I don't know.
Oh,
that's a good point.
Maybe the she got such a good deal because that suicide pact was worked in, that suicide clause was worked in, where if you get captured, you're dead.
Yeah, that's true. I think you've added some perspective for me. I really appreciate that, Andrew. I hadn't initially considered that some of the impact, some of the consequences weren't just the initial contract, but like how things sort of play out as well.
Happy to help. Honestly, this came to me as you guys were discussing the magic system, and I started thinking, I'm like, I didn't see any consequences, and then I had to stop, and I'm like, wait a moment.
Yeah, there are.
Actually, I did.
And another toss into here actually is how, like in the world building sense, how this contract system affects the the safety team, right? The deals with I mean, the fact that the main heroes have to align with demons in order to fight demons really raises some weird implications about what demons' motivations actually are.
Yes.
Right? Like, what do they want? I mean, the bat demon goes forward in the strong, like, oh yeah, I want to eat blood and rain dream like tours on the children.
Yes.
But like, why are they willing to get each other? Is there something enticing about the contract to them, like those particular sacrifices that make it worthwhile for them?
Yeah, I like that the implications are that devils are varied in their motivations just like humans are, because you get that angel one, I forget the kid's name, they're like, yeah, he bears no ill will towards humans,
one that breaks the rules.
Exactly. And there are a couple of others. I mean, the fox devil, they're like, oh yeah, she likes people, so it's like, not like likes to eat people, but like, yeah, oh yeah, she's friendly. And so it's kind of like, oh, not all devils are necessarily bad.
Yeah, and there's multiple contracts per devil possible if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's some lacking when it comes to the combat. And there was that one scene, but there's some stuff here for sure.
Yeah. I think
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as far as numbers go, I would be comfortable with a 4. I still don't think it's I don't think it's at the level of like Steins Gate, but I do think it was better than average. It was enough that it kept me invested, and watching through it again, I picked up on things that I hadn't picked up on the first watch through.
Especially when you consider that ridiculous pacing of the show and the melding of genres that it does.
Yes.
And the progression of our main boy, which might be more towards characters. Sure, I'll allow that. With the semi-interesting magic system and the amount of story I've watched the show 5 times now. The amount of story that we've gone through in 12 episodes is bonkers to me.
That's
with
true.
all the twists and turns of the people that come in.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
I want to talk around a 4 or even a 4.5. So if nothing, a 4 reaching up, but I think it could even land at a 4.5. Elias, have we swayed you at all? What were you thinking about?
I was leaning on like our half scores like officially technically allowed.
Yes, half scores, not quarter scores.
Yeah. So I was leaning on a 3.5, but I think I can land at a 4 and just be like 4 neutral, like maybe like looking down, but 4 is I'm comfortable with it being a 4.
Okay, Andrew, you still on for the 4?
Yep, I'm the other end of that spectrum with a 4 looking up, but yes, a 4. I'm fine with a 4.
Okay, we'll lock it in for a 4 then. I'm plenty happy with that. Cool. Excellent discussion, crew. That was cool. That was a cool one. The transformations, right? It's happening live.
Yeah, it's happening. It's real.
Live for you guys and your phones next week when this all comes out. All right, let's move on forward. We got 2 categories left. Next is characters. We talk about character design, development, motivation, their action, inaction, relationships, and their personalities. Elias, if you wouldn't mind helping this one again, what's a 1 and what's a 5?
Of course, 1 being terrible, frequently unreasonable, confusing, inconsistent, unreasonably static or dynamic, and annoying. And a 5 being exceptional is always understandable, consistent, reasonable, adequately static or dynamic, and relatable.
Oh, man. Are the characters in this show just complex little beings?
Yeah.
Complex little nuggets of teenagerisms.
Yeah.
Like, even Makava, I don't know. She's like, oh, yeah, if you woof for me, then, yeah, you're a good little puppy. I'm like, that's so juvenile. Come on, Makava.
I'm convinced Makima is like a master manipulator. She says and does whatever she needs to get Denji to do what she wants him to do.
I mean, anybody. Like, Aki was even had the hots for her, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So much so that he didn't see Himeno, like, drooling on him.
I know.
Like, I mean, he's a fool.
Now,
he had the cheesecake right there, and he was looking way over there at the pie.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
man, that episode 8, that one just
hit pretty
reamed me
hard.
for emotion. That's where it really showed me where I was how invested I was in these characters.
Yeah, I think the
when they start
characters is
killing
one of
them.
the things this show does exceptionally well, actually.
now with Aki, can we touch on Aki just for a moment? Because Braydn,
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember my feedback when we watched Psychopaths. There was that one character, I can't remember his name, I just called him Edgy Edgelord because he was an edgy
Yes.
Edgelord, and that's who he was the entire series. I hate that character trope. I hate it so much. But Aki, I never really hated the guy. I mean, yeah, he kind of fits that trope a little bit, but you see his humanity peek through time and time again. Like when he breaks down into tears, and I think it's episode 9 or 10, I can't remember. You see him smile. He engages in the nut-kicking contest with Denji.
Yes, he does! I was cheering for that man! Do it, Aki! Do it! Give in!
So something that I think is really important is the characters like Aki. The reason they're so compelling, you have two major things. One is motivation, right? So everybody we see is given some motivation, whether we get little slivers of it or, like Denji, it's just not complicated and you see all of it, right? But motivation's one thing. But secondly, with Aki especially, nobody's flat, and that is hugely important. There's room for growth, there's room to change, and nobody is just one thing. There's like Aki is the edgelord of the show, but he's also emotionally, he has depth. He's not just revenge edgelord sword guy. He's like cry when his friend dies guy, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna we're drinking out with the boys guy, and like.
And I'm going to have a smoke with the girl,
Or like, oh, you're
absolutely.
giving me 2 awful roommates, boss. Why are you doing that? I hate this. Like, he's not flat. There's a lot of depth and a lot of movement and shadows and like revelation. So I think
Yes.
I agree with you, Andrew. I hate the Edge character, and I was expecting to hate Aki, and I am pleased that I don't.
And kind of leaning forward on development, people, Denji. Man, he evolves. I mean, again, it's the most transparent, threadbare, covering up a man I've ever seen in my life, but it still evolves.
Can you guys notice,
from-
does he like become, he goes from caring, being really passionate to being like really apathetic? Is that a thing?
Yeah, right.
I was really surprised. He goes from passionate about dumb things like toast and boobs to like his passion is gone. Like he's just totally apathetic.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that was because of like him becoming more into his demonic motivations, or if it was because he had his one maybe friend die, like with Himeno.
I'm gonna posit one thing right there, and this is going back into my past. I had glasses for like as long as I can remember, right? And my vision terrible. I get LASIK. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, this is phenomenal. But it only took me about a month before I got used to it and just took it for granted and wasn't super excited about being able to wake up every morning and see anymore. So putting that on Denji, we see Denji, he's living now what he considers the good life. He's been living it for a little bit. He may be getting used to it, and it's kind of like, oh, this is the good life. Plus, he's accomplished a couple of what his big driving goals were that he got super passionate about, and he was disappointed by them each time he accomplished it.
Yes, he was.
Like the puke kiss.
That conversation.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, the conversation about touching Power's boobs with Makama.
Yes.
That conversation started off at a very, very crazily tender space. Like, if this is what it means to achieve my goals, should I even continue going for goals? Right?
Yes.
If I'm going to find these pointless things and just not feel satisfied, should I even keep going?
When I actually forgot the disappointment of the kiss arc. I forgot that whole disappointment existed, is that he didn't sleep with Himeno, but it was actually the kiss was just super awful.
The barf. It was the worst.
It was the worst thing. And like, you're right, Andrew. You hit the nail on the head. Like, yeah, there's some demon, whatever. But like, man, this guy is achieving his goals, and they are just really letting him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at least, I guess one part of power is like she had the pads, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
I actually did not
feel.
piece that together until I saw a meme about it.
Yeah. And then he gets the barf, which is just infinitely worse.
Oh.
On both accounts.
Oh yeah. And I do think, I mean, when I saw, how many animes do you see where the guy has a chance to get with the girl and he says no because he is saving himself for the girl that he likes or the girl that he really wants to be with?
Wait, hold up. That's not fair, because there are so many harem anime where that's the only thing they talk about. It's like,
that's fair.
Why won't you have sex with me? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That's fair.
Stop. No. What anime can make that impactful and important?
Okay.
Not
that's
having
a good way to
just
phrase
done it, but make it matter.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that this one wasn't harem-y. I mean, initially it's like, oh, everybody likes Denji, and then you learn that it's because Himeno likes everybody. They're like, she's kissed everybody in the...
Yes, Himeno gets around.
Yeah.
Power hates him and thinks he's incompetent until he's like, they trick her little fiend brain into like, okay, he can have my back, and then he ditches her, having her back.
Yeah.
And then the manipulation master, Makima?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the three. It's not really harem-y. These characters all have their crazy granularities to them.
Yeah. So one of the other notes I put in there was just that this doesn't ever get too like pervy. And an example is My Hero Academia. You have the little guy with the like sticky hair.
Yeah,
and
the grape guy.
Yeah, grape guy. I think I forget what his name is even, but it's something grape, right?
He's the worst.
Yeah, he's the worst, right? And so like, there's a line, a very distinct line, and when you cross it, it goes from acceptable amount of teenage perviness to unacceptable amount. And I don't actually feel like they ever crossed that line with Denji, which to me would have made him an unlikable character. Like he didn't ever push himself onto people, which was actually really commendable considering what his actual goal was. Like he was like, oh man, I really want this, but that'll never happen. And then the offer was made. It was not just insistent pushing for an entire season to get, like, it didn't feel yucky. It felt like earned and deserved because it was correctly offered.
And it felt, I would say, appropriately juvenile.
Yes.
Because all the characters here, they just have that energy. Like, that's where they sit. That's where their motivations are. These, like, not matured, developing intentional, rational goals, whatever. Like, it's not finished yet. Everything in there is, like, just very raw and youthful.
Yeah, well, and you always feel like in anime, everything's always, like, world. Like, everything's always huge and ungraspable. And this, like, we talk about relatable characters. I mean, these guys just have relatable kind of lifestyles. Like, as far as my lifestyle, I mean, like, as somebody that enjoys eating food, and like, I enjoy the occasional cigarette, and like, these characters have those qualities that make me be like, yeah, I've been there. I've gotten home from work and been like, dude, whoa, what a day I need a cigarette. Like,
what a day I need a cigarette.
Like,
yes.
I get it. I totally think that is like a win for them.
Oh, and I find their motivations often very believable too, and that you see a bunch of different reactions to a lifestyle that you could die any day. I mean, it's a very real possibility. They talk about that all the time. Like, oh yeah, almost everybody who enters this job dies. And so you've got Kobeni, who's terrified. They establish when she's first introduced, like, oh, she's really good, but she's really insecure and like super I don't know if shy is the right word, but very afraid. You've got her. You've got the guy whose name I forget, the big guy, right, who seems to have it together, but then there are cracks in his armor. He kind of has a panic attack. And then you've got, Himeno, who is like, hey, I could die at any time. Let's live life to the fullest and do whatever I want. So you get a bunch of these different portrayals, and I didn't find any of them over the top. It was kind of like, just like you said, Elias, it's an absolute, yeah, no, I can see that. That tracks. It doesn't seem like it's, out of left field or anything like that.
Well, let's take a second to talk about Kobeni, because I wanted to get to her at some point before we wrap up this section, because
the scared girl.
Because you have, quote, scared girl, right? But then, but what we've sort of seen is that, like, first of all, her motivation is tragic, unloved from her parents, sent to a profession that apparently makes decent money, to send her more loved sibling to school at the cost or the risk of her life, right? So there's that. I mean, that's tragic. That is a reason to really, like, you really feel for this person. She has a lot of, like, horrific reality to deal with, just in her family life, let alone this job she never wanted.
And the job is terrifying.
It's terrifying. She wanted to go to school. She didn't want to fight demons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then we see her experience trauma back to back to back. And she, at the end, kind of becomes this sort of, like, competent force, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it shows up when she's fighting humans.
Right.
Yes.
Like, specifically
Right.
humans. Now,
with guns, which are apparently scary.
They're very, they'll be bringing them up. Guns are very scary. There's a gun devil about the whole thing. Because they know too, like, they're demon hunters, but they still die to a gun, just like anybody else.
I think more demon hunters on screen have died to guns than to any other thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Now,
yes, indeed.
Real quick, with humans, and sorry if this is taking it away, we can take it back to Kobeni. One thing I wanted to mention, interesting how Denji, I don't think we ever see him kill a human. In fact, it even gets to the point, last episode, right? He gets flung into that train car with the human, and instead of, using her as a meat shield or acting in a way that's advantageous, he puts himself in a disadvantage, and he's like, come on, dude. Like,
well, he could have eaten her and healed, right?
Yeah, he didn't use her as an Estes flask.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
A little snack. No, he's definitely on the good guy side. Elias.
Yes.
We said this in the earlier, it has not come up yet. What are your feelings about Power?
Yeah, so Power, she's a so like Kobeni is a B, like a B tier side character. She's there, but she's not an A-lister. Power is an A-lister, but feels kind of like she should be a B, like she should be a B character. And like the reason I think that is just overall, I don't think she's adding to the show in a way that is impactful to any of our main characters. She doesn't act as a foil for anybody. She doesn't necessarily like create character growth for anybody. She's kind of this force of chaos, and like I think at her best, she's a level of comic relief that doesn't have purpose in a show with a character like Denji already.
Because I personally, like I said before, like their relationship a lot. Like, I like how they feed off each other's energy, kind of push each other to be ridiculous.
Sure, and I did describe it more harshly than like I feel watching the show, but when I analyze it, that's just kind of what I come to. So I agree, watching them on screen together is fun, but what is the value?
That's what I want to say is like there you can say that, and compared to Denji and Aki, like she doesn't provide nearly as much. I mean, she doesn't even get that much screen time besides her one arc and then the training sequence. But I've already said, like, due to her accent and the way she talks, she might add to a little bit of the world building. And compared to other characters from other anime, she's got a lot of personality. That doesn't fully redeem her. I'm not proposing for that, but I'm gonna say like when we're talking about what a 3 character is, she's still a reach above what other characters we see from other shows.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Gurren Lagann. I forget the girl's name.
Oh, jeez.
But
Gurren
yep.
Lagann.
What girl?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You mean the walking pair of boobs?
Yes,
that one.
No, that character. Yeah, I know that one. She has the flames, right?
Oh, yeah, that one. Yep.
Oh, God.
You know what? Actually,
Yeah,
I think
no.
something that we off mention before we finish up is just that I do feel like the intro and outro, I don't know if they're canon, but it gives Power and Denji a lot more personality in their relationship than I think the show actually does.
Interesting. Well, let's see if that's enough of a note to bring you down, because so far, besides that note, I'm talking around a 5. We're talking about an always powerhouse lineup of characters. So 5 reaching down, maybe not the most solid 5, but I think it could even hold up to that. What do you guys think?
I'm going to give it a 4.5, and the 0.5 is coming from Power just not being a compelling main character.
Okay.
Oh,
Andrew?
that with me is a 5 going down, because while Power wasn't, I would say, as compelling as the others, I didn't find Power to. I didn't feel like she detracted from the show. At worst, she was kind of there, and sometimes I felt that she added. So I would. I mean, my preference would be a 5 looking down. I could also go with a 4.5 looking up, but I felt like this show had a lot of phenomenal characters.
I feel
Like
like
it's
the argument
often-
Andrew and I have. I feel like the argument that Andrew and I have is that the other characters do more than enough to eclipse Power's shortcomings.
She's a main character, though. They shouldn't eclipse
Sure,
her. She should
but-
be part of the show.
Sure, but we don't feel that she's that far.
Oh no, I'm just saying that's why I'm coming to that conclusion. Is she's not a B character,
Yeah.
she's an A character who feels like she's a B character. To me, that's my perspective.
Sure.
And that's
Can
why it's a
you
4.5.
accept though a 5? Because we have to run out in a single score.
Oh, do we really?
Elias.
Oh, yeah, that's
We
right.
do.
Man.
Like, is it terribly unhappy to list it as a 5 for you?
No, it's not. It's not. But it's not.
Believe me, everything you said is duly noted. But if we can sit on 5,
Yeah, we
we'll
can
walk
sit
that
on
in tonight.
5.
Okay. Oh no, we sat on a 5. Oh no.
A 5 looking downward. Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Definitely so. Because of Power, specifically. I mean, some of the other relationships might be a little bit ham-handed on the juvenileness, but it just fed to the energy of the overall show. I think that was a good choice for them. Okay, so let's get our final one. Delivery, our final score for Delivery. Delivery covers the translation, the voice acting of the sub and dub, the script, and the edit of the show. Edit, if you're unaware, are evaluating whether or not the scenes are in the right spot, or if they should have been rearranged in some way. So Elias, one last time, can we get the 1s and the 5s
Yes,
from you?
of course. 1 being terrible, frequently cheesy, inappropriate, incoherent, and bland. And then 5, or exceptional, is always believable, genuine, understandable, elevating, and enriching.
So
Okay. Question. Did anybody here listen to the English dub?
Nope. I'm guilty of not doing that.
It's hard for us to talk about because I'm talking about this without Skylar and Brett. Skylar and Brett don't ever judge a bad dub, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to say here, taken into that context, the English dub was okay. It was fine. Like, most characters came off all right, either being yelly or they just involved themselves appropriately, but not exactly enlightening for their characters, except for one case, and you're going to hate this, Elias, but it was Power. Power's voice actor is incredible. Like the lines they give her, they feed her. The actress just took to town. It's so good listening to her speak. It's generally a delight for me whenever she comes on.
That might actually help me appreciate the character more if I do a second watch through in English.
Yeah, I did only watch through episode 9 because the other 3 aren't released in English yet.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, sure. We'll get to there, but that's most of Power's arc anyway, right?
Yeah,
that's unusual enough for me that I'm like, wow. A good voice actor in an English dub, or a character that's portrayed well in an English dub, is somewhat notable. That's
okay. It is also a single good voice actor, like a single exceptional voice actor. The rest of them they're kind of fine. They're just.
I think
honestly.
like My Hero Academia is an example of exceptional, like dub.
I really like All Might's voice.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. Yeah, all of them are quite good.
I did.
So go ahead.
I did feel like the subtitles. I didn't catch any jankiness in the subtitles. In fact, I felt like they were very well done.
And I think well presented. Like I want to touch back to the scene with Power in the vending machine, right? When she's convincing Denji to do a 180 and be invested in our cat. Like the script, there could have been some back and forth dialogue between Denji and Power, but Power, all she needed goes, oh yeah, and that's all the script they needed. Like that's appropriate. That's beautifully appropriate for that scene.
Oh yeah.
Where I think a lot of other mates would have done more dialogue to kind of flush that out. And that wouldn't have been as nearly as impactful as the scene.
I mean, while watching the sub, I just like looking at the rubric a little more for like the technical, since this feels like kind of a more technical one. I never at one point did the voice acting ever take me out of the story. So I like while I'm watching it, there are definitely anime, like I can even just Full Metal has this problem. I honestly think
yes, it does.
I honestly think the voice acting in that show, there's great voice acting, and then every time Alfonso talks, I want to like punch myself in the ear canal.
Oh, that's not who I was going to bring up, but okay, sure.
That's just for me. I just hate it. Like it just is the worst. And so, not one character, not one time was there a voice actor that was like, "Oh, I hate that. I hate that." But no, it's all quite good. It's all very immersion is happening. So I really appreciated that, because that's one of the first things I'll notice before anything else is if the voice acting is bad, that makes it really hard for me to enjoy a show.
Agreed. And for the I did enjoy the Japanese with the subtitles more. Like I did enjoy the experience more, just on the whole. In fact, I don't have to try out Makima's voice actress. Pretty stinking primo voice actress there. She got the highs and the lows there, or not even the lows. She has that monotone, manipulative investiture. Maybe she's on your side, just line perfectly down.
Yeah.
Well, very well done.
Oh, loved her answer to Denji. What's your type of guy? I'm into the Denji type.
Buddy!
Knew exactly what to say.
Yeah.
Gets me every time.
Just took him
what
right
a
out.
forward move.
He was done.
Whew. He had no chance.
None whatsoever. Even just like the way I think you guys really have nailed a lot of the like, just the way they respond, like Power, just like they really figured it out. They know exactly what they're doing, with like playing the emotion and playing the. I mean, man, Makima just being that vague line of, you can't. There's no inflection to tell you whether. Oh man, it is good. It is good.
Not a single secret will beget her lips. She's ironclad on what she's doing in there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to translate this into words we can use, right? The voice acting for the sub is pretty good. Like it's on the better side. And nothing really takes us out of it. That's pretty solid standing. The script, definitely on the plus side.
Yes.
Like the times when they speak or they don't speak, or what they're saying or how they influence each character, beautifully translated over. The English dub, it's okay. Not really anything to note there. Power has the note, but that's an important point. And then I want to bring up on the side of the edit, The only thing I can think of is that weird transition to the Leech Devil. I don't exactly know what's going there, but everything there seems to be needed. It just was not correct. Like, that was so jarring and weird for them to come in. There should have been some other transition and that we missed out on.
Yes.
So I want to give a small nick there for one scene in the anime for that, which we also kind of noted in the stories.
Yeah, I just felt like the edits were really good, though. I mean, even like just plot wise, you have traumatic happenings, flashback to Sensei like weeping over lost students. I mean, like the editing was really tight, honestly. Except for the Leech Devil.
Except for the stupid Leech Devil. Except for that. Jeez. Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to talk around a 4 to 4.5 again. What are you guys' thoughts?
I'm leaning at 4.5. I don't know if it's looking up or looking down, but
I'm really okay with a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I could go with the 4. I could go with the 4.
I'm trying to weigh with how I guess it's not that extremely good, but the script was really, really, really solid for the show.
Well, and I think it's fair to say that this is above any like decent show.
Yeah,
and is it the best that you've ever seen? Maybe not. So like I think a 4 is like a really honest score for something that has obvious problems, but also is obviously better than average.
Yeah.
You know what? I like your use of honest there. Like, yeah, I like the idea of pushing for the 4.5 because of how much I love this show. Yeah, maybe at this point it's good for me to take a step back and say, yeah, no, there's a bunch of just plus quality stuff, nothing extraordinary in this category.
Yeah, and that's where I'm comfortable with the 4, and that like the delivery's not, it's not like place further than the universe. Phenomenal delivery in that show. This one, great, but not the best, but better than most.
So we're kind of filling a 4 then?
Yeah, I'm good
happy
with 4.
to kind of latch down on that. Alrighty, let me put that in and see what that means. 4. Not 47, 4.
It's the best script of all time.
It's 9 times plus better. It's crazy. Well, maybe one day. All right. No, never one day. It's the 5 or nothing. All right. Our final score, that rounds out between a art score of 5, a story score of 4, a character score of 5, and a delivery score of 4. That beautiful pattern, as you can probably guess, gets us to a 9 out of 10. So where that gets us, here, let me go to my spreadsheet really quick. What that gets us in the shows we've watched. Hold up. I gotta full size this. This is not working small. Oh, okay. Other shows that we've talked about and rated on our technical rubric. That gets us tied for our 3rd highest score we've ever given a show. Honestly, I think it deletes it. It deserves it, sorry. It ties with both Steingate, which Andrew has brought up a couple times in this episode, and also the recent Spy X Family. It scores just below Demon Slayer, another pretty modern show, and it scores just above our score for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Ping Pong the Animation, which both kind of 8.75. So there we go, crew. That's where we're at. Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? This is the time, crew. Get in the comments and let us know what you think. We love the dialogue. As you can tell, we can keep going. We might have to watch the show again and do like an extra little addendum attach on. But we've gone over about 2 hours now, crew. Whew. Well stinking done. This was so good and so much fun. All right, well, let's finish up. For tonight, let's talk about our comparisons recommendations. What did we like? What do we think has similar things, and why do we connect these two shows? Does anybody want to start in leading on with these? So you guys know, we're going to do one at a time. Don't do all yours at once. We'll do one at a time.
I will start because mine is short and sweet. Again, not my catalog of watched animes, not super humongous, but I've watched some of the bigger ones. To me, when I was watching this, I think it's hilarious that there's a crossover of Chainsaw Man into My Hero Academia because I was like, wow, Chainsaw Man belongs in My Hero Academia. Like, I could totally see it. And so, like, that cracks me up a lot. But honestly, like, as far as just pacing goes, as far as, like, the character development goes, I just feel like if you're a person that's watched Chainsaw Man, you're like, wow, I kind of would like more of that. It has a lot of the absurdity. It has a lot of the, like the story arcs feel similar, except for, you know, the character has like much bigger goals. The more protagonist feeling going on, right?
Sure.
But in all, for me, like, I would just say My Hero is similar in enough ways that you can't really say that you wouldn't like one or the other.
All right. Absolutely. Thanks, Elias. Andrew, how about you? What do you got?
I got 3. Number 1, I might recommend Vinland Saga if you're looking for, a darker anime, something a little more gritty. There's definitely violence in Vinland Saga, not nearly as much gore. I mean, Chainsaw Man is the goriest anime I've seen, but Vinland Saga also does deal with some pretty mature themes. So that's what I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for. If you're just into like teens fighting devils and such, then Bleach is a standard recommendation. Like, go watch Bleach. Teens fighting devils. I watched a lot of Bleach.
Sure.
I don't. If you're looking for a show that's as mature and well thought out as Chainsaw Man, I don't think Bleach is it. But it's got the devil fighting action, so there's that. But the third one I find it much more interesting, and this is To Your.
No, wait! Stop! I said one, sir.
Oh, one?
One at a time.
Dang it. Okay. Yes. You next, Braydn.
Calm yourself, sir. All right. So I'm going to come in next with one I kind of brought up a couple times, Jujutsu Kaisen. Because it is blow for blow a lot of the same show. Their motivations are a bit more mature. You see a lot more action in Jujutsu Kaisen. But it's some of the best action you'll ever see. Like, I'm not joking. The martial arts in that show are so cool. Especially the fight mid-season with Todo and the main character. I can't remember his name because he's not Todo, who's the best character. Okay, there's a lot we've already said about that show. And there's a lot we will say actually about Bleach, which you brought up, right, Andrew? That was you that brought that up?
Yes.
Because we're actually covering 1,000 Year Blood War as our first start for season 1. So it's coming up. Stay tuned for that boy coming on. And hit that subscription with the bell and the ding and whatever else. That's coming up. Anyway, Jujutsu Kaisen, very similar story. Just went a different direction with going way more into the combat. Elias, do you have another one?
I don't have another one, but I think I
Are you sure?
will agree with you that so am I okay to take? I don't know if I'm taking this one from you.
I was trying to give it to
fantastic.
you.
Okay, great. So another in my vast catalog of anime, Attack on Titan is one that I've kept up with. It's one of the few that I've kept up with. I mean, if we're similar style of combat, like if you're okay with gore and you're okay with dark and you're okay with like horrific tragedy, I think Attack on Titan is going to be enjoyable to you. I mean, you have the plot twist, the characters growing and changing, and you have every like episode there's some visually stunning thing to enjoy. So I think that both of those could be pretty comparable.
Yeah. A little less juvenile and a lot more grim dark.
Yeah. I mean, it is certainly like I think
no juvenile. There's almost none.
Yeah, no,
There's the one character that likes to
It's
eat,
crazy.
and Sasha even even
Yes.
Sasha's not that like juvenile. It's almost like everything's sad all the time.
it's so sad. Oh my gosh, I'm still catching up. I'm still ways back.
Okay,
but
well,
yeah,
yeah.
I agree. All right, Andrew, back to you. What's your third?
Third one, not to steal your thunder, Braydon, but Yuri on Ice. No, just kidding. I've never seen Yuri on Ice, but you always recommend it, so one of these
you're
days.
a fan of the show, I see.
I was thinking To Your Eternity, actually. If you want to watch a show with an immortal protagonist who's a great character and it has a cast of fantastic characters, To Your Eternity is a great watch. It also handles mature themes. It will murder your feelings and show no remorse about doing it. Lot less gory, lot less violence, lot less teenage angst and drama and all of that in To Your Eternity. But a great show with the immortal protagonist and great characters. So, highly recommend that one.
Man, and season 2 of that's currently coming out, and it's bonkers. Like, it's just insane what they're doing with that show. I did not expect anything of season 2 of that one. Okay, my second and the last one I have on hand, I might look through my list really quick, but the last one I have on hand is Beastars, who I already brought up. Because that Beastars is the best CGI I've ever seen for anime. Besides having a beautifully interesting story, with the Zootopia crossover to... I don't know. It pulls at some very, very interesting directions with talking about high school and relationships and I guess the differences between people and how to tackle those conversations. It's one of my few shows that's a 10 out of 10. It's a 9 that has impacted my life in a tangible way. And it is the most beautiful CGI animation you'll ever see. So I would recommend Beastars.
Okay.
Oh, I'll back that one up, Braydon. I love Beastars too. Definitely worth a watch.
Definitely worth a watch. Jeez Louise. Elias, did you have anything more?
No, I wouldn't think that there's any other anime that I've seen that I would compare this to.
Vibe. I mean, there's so much anime, but like for this one, I don't know. Oh, Andrew, how about you?
Nothing else on my list. I went through my anime list earlier today, but that's those three are it.
I have to step
I'm
away for
exhausted.
1 second. Sorry.
Do you? Because we're saying goodbye right
Oh,
now.
okay. Well, let me say goodbye.
Okay. Crew, thank you so much for starting in tonight. Please check out all of our stuff on YouTube or at 310anime.com. Thank you for listening. Until next time, Jane.
There you go.